Okay, welcome to episode number 8
Hello, hello.
of Just Another Weird Day.
Yes, it has been another weird day.
It has been another weird day.
It really was a weird day.
Yeah. I'll just start with that story. We had a guy park in our parking lot
For the whole day.
for the whole day.
Yeah.
And, he just took a nap for 5 hours while his car was running. My father-in-law, Bob, her dad, checked on him multiple times, gave him coffee and water, and he ended up going home. So, I don't know if you know that, but he
Yeah,
did.
I did. I saw.
So,
Nico was finishing the dishes, and I looked outside again, and his car was
that's
gone.
good.
It was a license plate from Montana
Yep,
in West Virginia.
that's very strange. But,
All we caught was his first name, Mr. James.
James.
The paramedics came out to check on him because he wouldn't wake up the first time my dad knocked on the door. Grandmas were about to take the grandkids out for a fun day, and he came in and he was like, "Well, I can't wake him up." All the grandmas gave 1,000 suggestions. So did I. It was exciting.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he doesn't know all the excitement, but it was really exciting. They just barely pulled out of the way before the police cars came in to knock on the door, too. Not our door, but
Yeah.
the guy's door.
Yeah.
Just make sure he was alive. I really didn't want a dead person in my parking lot today. That was my goal,
Wow.
along with, well, praying for him. Dad really served him. I was kind of like, this is not my job as a young mom. Okay, I'm not that young anymore, but still not my job. Didn't feel like it was my
Yeah.
job.
Just
I
weird.
could pray.
A weird story.
It was
Just
a
another
weird
weird
story.
day.
But I do have something for you.
You do have something. So now I get to guess 10 questions on the object. Is it something you wear?
No, I'm
Is
making him
it
guess today.
edible?
No.
Um, have you owned it longer than a year?
Yes.
Hmm, Not wearable. Can you read it?
There is a piece of it you can read.
Okay. Um, Not wearable. Edible. Is it fit in your pocket?
Yeah, it does. It's in my pocket.
Is it a card?
It is not a card.
Is it a toy?
Nope. Good questions.
Is it a trinket?
No? You have one more question.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think. Did I count right, guys?
Yeah, it's about that. Um, is it stuffed?
No.
No.
Good questions. It is my Norwex cloth. This is
Of
my
course.
unashamed jab.
Yep.
Since we're talking about business partnerships, and I just started selling Norwex.
Yep.
This is the only Norwex thing I have, though. And yes, I know it's an MLM. I know. I like supporting my friends anyway.
It's true.
And yeah, this is just a window cleaning cloth. And cleaned my tiny ninja oven with it today, and it was awesome.
Nice.
So
That's
there you
good.
go.
Yeah. Jumping right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, if anyone wants to buy Norwex stuff, I mean, we're going to get more of it too, but
Yeah.
I have a group online and you can join me. It made special.
Yeah.
Has
So it's silver lining, which is cool.
silver inlay.
I
I
did
don't know if
not
that's,
know that until we started
but he
looking
guessed
into
that
it.
there was copper because it's antibacterial.
Mhm.
And so all you have to do is use water. You don't have to use any soap when you clean with it because it's just antibacterial. And then you can still wash it with the non-toxic
Nice.
soaps that they have for laundry, but um it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Try and
Okay.
motivate me to keep my house clean and talk to people. Those are hard things to do. So
Yeah. I would agree.
Jeremy supports me in this. And we're just moving
I
forward.
do. I do support you in this.
Yep.
I think I helped you push you over the edge to
Actually,
move
my mom
forward.
did too. I was like, I don't know. Is anyone ever gonna want to buy this from me? I don't know.
Hey, you put something out there on Facebook and you got like 20 replies. So, yeah,
I have a lot of friends who used to sell Norways,
that's
but before I knew them, and so they have some of the cloths already. But now they can get more from me or Megan because Megan is my upline, my
nice.
my CC director. She's awesome. Anyway, yeah, so that's my item.
Cool. I like it.
Good guesses.
Never would have guessed. Maybe.
Uh,
But
so
last week
funny.
we drew out of the hat business partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, we've been through all of those.
Mm, hmm We have. We've been through all.
You want to start? Got a story in mind that you wanted to tell?
Well, I think we can start with kind of defining business partnerships. So we were talking before, and he has kind of a narrow idea, like literal. Well, it's just more literal. I just have a very connective brain
So I
because
think of partnerships as or business partnerships as literal. We are in contract together to do business. Um, and so,
as equal owners,
yeah,
I would say
or
you
even
think of it
unequal.
as like equal owners, or well, yeah, maybe unequal.
Yeah, I think it's mainly a contract there. Like, not just like,
And I take the contract to the nth degree. I'm like, if I have a contract with anyone, they're like my business partner.
yeah,
Even if I'm like an employee or I'm just I just texted out that I'm gonna babysit your kids. Like we're in business together now.
yeah. Is,
I think of it
get into
more
people's business, that is their business. So
right.
it's
You think
business.
about how
So it's true.
personal your business is,
That's true.
your time, and I just think we all have a lot more business partnerships and more entrepreneur connections than we might think. So,
Yeah, I would agree. That definition.
and I think I have close family who are looking for jobs right now, and I just keep thinking, it's who you know. It is so who you know and who you ask. Like, you have to be really bold when you're business hunting. Like, you have to be like, I am serious that I want a job. I'll do whatever it takes, like, to make enough money for my family or to whatever. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's what my family is doing, my close family nearby and
Yeah,
away. But you have to get really vulnerable to do business sometimes.
yeah. I think
And that
my
is what we did. No. And it hurts when you have to break it off because
sure.
it feels so personal. I mean, it is. It is personal. It changes the trajectory of our daily lives, lifestyles, everything
Mhm.
when we change business. And there's a lot of questions and doubts that come. We've had all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've had the really sweet times too. Like, I think for sure both of us would agree that one of the hardest endings of a business partnership was just the last few years.
Hmm.
Of course, it was really hard just this last year.
Yep.
But yeah, sometimes you have to start things and you have to end things and be thankful for the growth that you had in that process and recognize that new things need to start. And that's hard because we're talking about people's lives and relationships. We're not just talking about business.
Yeah.
I think that's where it does get. I think this is probably why people have a lot of emotional issues and they don't even realize. They're like, oh, yeah, like our business partnerships and work relationships, yeah, they really do have a big effect on us. It's like every day. Anyway, this is still all super general, so we could tell specific stories if we want.
I got a story.
Okay, tell a story.
My story is of the big one when I think about this stuff. And I guess I first want to start with how I got into a partnership with another escape room owner. And
Oh,
the story
yeah.
will start where we have had an escape room for about 3 years at this time. It was the 2019, I believe, and we there was an escape room in town, been open for a year. They put themselves for sale, and we were not interested at all. We're like, okay, cool. If you, they reached out to us, said if you know any buyers, let us know. We're like, great. If we hear about anything. Well, a couple months went by, and me and a friend who played board games together thought, what if we bought that place and turned it into a cool escape room and turned in those escape rooms to better escape rooms, really? And we're like, well, that's cool. Yeah, we have a very similar concept of escape rooms and puzzles and how they operate and what we like. Um, and so we thought, well, what happens if we give it a try? So at the time, I was reading a book called
Right.
Persuasion. That's not correct, but it might be.
Is that an
Chris
Audible?
Chris Voss. Um, I think it's called Persuasion. But anyway, by Chris Voss, and it's all about he's a hostage negotiator. He's all about
Mhm.
negotiation skills, and so I just read that book, and I took what I read as a layperson going into this conversation about buying this business. Yeah, look up Chris Voss. You might.
Yeah, some
Um, and he
it's called Never Split the Difference.
no, there's more. There's more.
Art of Negotiation?
It might have been that one.
Huh. I don't know.
Maybe the art of negotiation. Anyway, off track here. But so me and the friend went to this business that was for sale, and they wanted way too much money for it. And so I came in with this super low ball offer, thinking they're going to say no, and they're going to be like, we're going to still look around for a couple months. And we were fine with that. We were not in a hurry to run and pay a ton of money for this. And went into this meeting, lowballed the offer, and got it. And I literally told you, like when I left, like, all right, we're gonna go buy a business tonight as a joke. Like I had almost zero intention of actually doing it.
This is gonna be good practice.
Yeah,
Literally, we did not expect for it to
yeah.
work.
And so I went to the meeting. It was like an hour long or less.
So
It was very
explain a little more.
fast.
You went to a meeting with the owners of this other escape room,
Yes.
and they were selling it, and they had set it up with you and Edwin, right?
Yep.
And
Edwin was a partner that we partnered with.
right, right. And so you guys were just gonna practice
Well,
getting the
we were going to go in
business.
there fully expecting them like to almost be offended by how much
Yeah,
less
because
we
they
offered.
offered half
No,
of.
less than half, a third of what they had originally
Were they trying to sell it for 250?
300.
Oh, 300. Oh my gosh. I see. I don't even have the story
Yeah.
straight. I thought they
Well,
were offering 200.
they started off as 300 and then they kind of came down a little bit. And so their first initial what they wanted
Was
for it was
300,000
300,000.
to buy an escape room,
Hmm?
Poway in a like what's it called?
A industrial park.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we offered 100 and
If
got
they
it.
did their own payment plan. Like
Yeah.
they held it
Seller
in a
finance.
yeah, seller financed.
So we put very little down, if anything, and took over the lease and paid them off by the profits of the business.
It
So
was an investment. We weren't really making anything. It was
yeah,
paying for itself.
yeah. And so that's how we got into that partnership. So it was very quick. It was unexpected.
That's true. Yeah, it was.
We were I was expecting to wait 2 or 3 months and then for them to come back with a different offer or something. And we literally signed papers that night. And I just like it
Deer
felt
in the
like
headlights.
a dog that catches a car. Joker has this saying in The Dark Knight. What happens when a dog catches a car? He just doesn't know what to do. He just loses his mind. He's like,
What do
now
you
what? What's now what? And that's kind of how I felt. I'm like, what have I just done? I don't know.
Yeah, and then we had, 3 kids.
Yeah. Three kids with what, 3-year-old at the time?
Our baby was a toddler.
Yeah. So that's how we got into that partnership. It was very fast, very unexpected how fast that moved. And Um, I don't know about the whole story, if we want to tell the whole story, but just that's how I got into it. We were asking why.
So we just didn't anticipate the honestly, I feel like we thought so much that business was business, we didn't anticipate all of the lifestyle differences.
Yeah, which COVID brought out.
Which were big when I mean, even though Edwin and Michelle were both so kind to our kids and everything, they didn't have any children, and that was just a natural difference in lifestyle-wise and
Mhm,
understanding of how you live your life because, yeah, it just we didn't want scary games. He had had scarier games before, like, we should have known, but we just didn't factor all of this in.
yeah, and COVID brought out a lot just highlighted every difference that we had, and, did not make for a good ending. Um,
Yeah, it was just hard.
it was very hard. So we
And there were just things in our life that were going on apart from
mhm,
our business partners that needed to get focused on.
yeah,
Like, so yeah, it was a hard ending.
yeah,
But I mean, I am really glad that we made some hard lines and said goodbye and thank you, even though it was really hard to do. So hard to do that. It's hard to say thank you, goodbye. And actually, we couldn't have done that if we wouldn't have been given so much grace in that business partnership, too. We're given so much on the other end with the couple that you sold the business to us. Like, we were just watching Beast Games recently, and they're like, what if you could press a button and get $50,000? And like, they did that for us.
mhm. Yeah, it was Christmas of
Not just in allowing us to do
21?
this business without putting $50,000 down or $100,000 down, but because of COVID, the next it was
Yeah,
almost
next
2
year.
years later
Mhm.
because it was like the beginning of 21 and then
It might have been 2020, now think about it. I don't know.
I thought it was 2020.
Yeah, you're probably
I think
right.
it was Christmas
Probably
2020, so
right.
it'd been like almost 2 years and then they just called us up in December and things are hard. Like we're putting the money we're getting if we're getting any because we're running really minimal games at our main escape room.
Yeah.
We're putting it into this business. It was just crazy. And we had employees who didn't want to work. It was hard for all of us. And actually, I feel like we worked really good in all of that. We still made it work pretty well. I think we were still on the same page of like, okay, we don't want to be overly controlling, but we want to respect if people have fear.
Right.
Anyway, it was just crazy. But they did. They called us up
Yeah, and said the remaining balance of your business purchase is now forgiven, and it
and it
was
was still
$50,000.
$50,000.
And, yeah, it was so weird because it's that simple. They're literally like, "Do you wanna I can sign a paper if you want, but we don't need to, like, it's just done now, like, you don't have to do anything else."
We're
And
just
we
gonna get
didn't, like, I didn't
paid
have to sign
off.
any papers or nothing. It's very strange how business works
When
when you see it from the inside.
it is. It's a lot of trust and conversation, and
Oh, it's personal, like you were saying.
it's very
It's all very
personal.
personal.
Yeah,
I
it's very
think if we had
personal.
been rude to them the entire 2 years, that probably wouldn't have happened, or
Yeah,
not work with them at all during the transition time, or whatever. I'm
yeah.
saying it's just personal. It's not just a business transaction with 0 personal
With zero
interaction
emotions
whatsoever.
involved.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this makes me think of a story I didn't think of
Okay.
before.
What's up?
Um, when I was a sassy college student and my coffee shop owner walked in and was having a bad day. So she was being unprofessional, but she was also just being human, like as a business owner who's unhappy about something. And it wasn't even about us, but I was kind of washing dishes and I was like rolling my eyes. Don't do that, okay? Just not good. And she like started crying. I feel like we need to talk. And so we sat down. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I've had a long day too. I think your emotions are valid. I'm just not in your position of owning the whole company and, having to think about all those things. I'm just washing dishes. But just as an employee on the other end who doesn't have all the responsibilities, like it's funny to me now thinking about it because I've been on the other side now, and I'm like, I just want to come in and cry on my employees because it's been really hard. Are you guys okay? 'Cause it just makes me laugh. Anyway, it's hard and it is personal to have a business. So you might as well put your heart and soul into it and do the best you can and apologize where you fall short and see how you can grow.
Yeah,
That's just,
it's good.
yeah. And so here we are, building businesses again.
Yeah,
Lots of them, actually. Even tonight, I signed away for
that's
my
true.
Challenge A directing. So, Classical Conversations pulled me in again.
Yeah,
I directed a little homeschool community in Bonsall in 2018. And now I'm going to have just a little homeschool community of seventh graders, my daughter included, this fall. So I have a lot of work to do to train and get ready for that. But thanks for supporting me again.
it's good.
Like, honestly, nobody wants to do business alone or feel unsupported in what they're doing. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to try hard things.
Yeah,
Like, you know, you're going to need encouragement because it's going to be hard sometimes. So
always.
all I did was give you a hug today. Sometimes I'll bring you lunch, but he already had some food, so
Yeah,
he had a hard day. Good, good, but it's
it's
just
good.
like hard because it was just hard labor. It was
Yeah,
just so
start work.
cold.
Yep, it was very cold today.
He was working outside on the shady side of the building. It
Yeah,
was actually warmer in the sun, but you were on the shady side.
yep, all day. Well, I have another business story. Is recently here started a handyman business doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have kind of partnered with these two guys who have an
Mm.
exteriors company. And we happened to find each other on one job. We're both bidding different parts of the job. And so we started talking and we're like, oh, hey, we could actually work together outside of this other job. And so it's turned into that where they get jobs for big decks or roofs or siding projects, but occasionally a small one will come through and they're like, hey, our crew of 5 guys don't want these small jobs. Would you like those? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I need to work.
Please, we need
And so it's turned into a good
connections.
relationship where it's funny. They get themselves into funny situations where they just like, yeah, we can do that. And then they'll call me and be like, hey, can you do that? Like, I can figure it out. We'll figure it out. And, uh, and so we do. And so anyway, it's a very, how do you call it? Distance is not the right word, but a, we're both feeling each other out as a business partnership. There's no contracts to be signed between either of us because it's just as the work comes in, I
Independent
do it.
contractors.
Yeah, it's almost like
You
independent
guys
contractors.
are,
But
well,
but the
there are some
relationship
contracts, but there
there,
are some contracts.
I mean,
So
yeah,
you're gonna get a percentage of my work and vice versa. Like,
yeah,
because they get 30% from being the salesman, and then you get
yeah.
the other 70% of the
So
profit.
yeah, it's just it's a cool
It's a business
it's very
partnership.
personal. It's just that I'm getting to know them and they're getting to know me, and so we mutually will work on these projects together, and it's been good. But I have found myself with both of them just saying, make sure you guys are on the same page because they just started their company
Yeah,
9 months
don't be
to a year
afraid to
ago,
address things if
and
they're
just
coming up and you're feeling uncomfortable.
yeah, just make sure you guys are on the same page. Make sure you have the same expectations for each other. So there's not these unspoken expectations that you have on each other as business partners of like, hey, why aren't you doing that? But you never say it out loud. You're just thinking in your head, why isn't he doing this all day? Why isn't he doing that? And it's like, don't let that stuff fester.
Of course, you have to be careful because if you are asking for that and then things really aren't changing, yeah, then you know it's time to go a different direction.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, I guess that's too for
yeah.
us.
So anyway, it's been good, and I appreciate them and where the current status of it is now. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's neat to find people, you respect, but also a niche where you both need each other
Yeah.
to
Yep.
do a good job
Exactly. Yeah.
or to get the connection, you know.
Yeah.
It's neat because they've spoken very clearly like, wow, they really need you. So of course that makes you feel valued in a business partnership, you know. And same with my support representative. I think they have a new name for her now, but Penelope, who's walking me through the application process with classical conversations, she's like, we want you. Even if they don't necessarily need me, someone else can step in for me. Other people can be trained, but it's just really nice when they're like, hey, like I really want your input, you
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Again, it's like business is super personal. And maybe this is why people don't want to be entrepreneurs because they don't understand that idea or they don't want to have their personhood put out there like that. That might be a piece of it. Oh.
Mm.
I have been questioning a little bit more lately. I'm like, why doesn't everyone want to be an entrepreneur? I mean, I get it. It's terrifying. And you know what? It's so faith building. You have to pray about everything.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, yeah, well, I already know what I'm doing tomorrow because someone else planned it for me and not think about God. You have to literally be like, so, Lord, we really need more jobs and we need to meet more people and we need to figure out how we fit in this community and how we can help others, but also be taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit more, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this next generation. Okay, so this is a side story, but we just visited a rock climbing gym with a field trip for our homeschool group. And the two young people who are working, like 18, 20 something year old girl and boy, were brother and sister. The brother had been working for 2 years. The girl had only been working for 8 months. They were both homeschooled. So they were so excited because they had a homeschool group that 12 kids that they were just helping
Yeah.
belay on the ropes and letting them, they really trusted the young kids with their gear. Like you could just hook yourself up, ask your parent if you want to, or this is how you do it. I mean, some of these kids are young kids, like, 8, 6, but they were doing it. And anyway, at the end, they were just like, oh, yeah, we grew up on a blueberry farm and my mom still does that. And just explained so openly the whole process of how they got into it. How it was just like they had land now and their dad was really excited. So instead of planting just like 3 blueberry bushes, he's like, we've got room. Let's plant 100. That's literally how business can start. Let's just do a little extra than we actually know how to do and just like ask God to provide the fruit harvest, you know? Literally, the fruit harvest. Anyway. So I'm hoping that and they were so sweet. They're like, if you email my mom, I'm sure she would let a homeschool group come in. All we do is just put buckets on us and we just pick those berries when they're ripe. And that'd be such a great job for our 13-year-old.
Yeah.
It's just, anyway, I think, like mom said, America used to be like that, where we had our own jobs that supported us on our land. And I think that's why the Civil War happened too. Because when people said we're taking away your livelihood or whatever.
Yeah. Their source of income was the slaves. So if you threaten to take away their source of income, they're going to fight for
Obviously,
you.
that was wrong.
Yes.
People are not possessions to own.
Yeah.
But you kind of you grasp the concept of, oh, well, if you're thinking that this is my business, you're taking away my employees, and I don't think that's worth. I think that's still like trust God and keep working your land, and then pay people what you can. They want to help you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts,
That's it.
but
My brain is just stuck on entrepreneurs and what makes what makes a successful entrepreneur?
Mhm.
I can't say that I know the answer, but I can tell you what has worked here doing the handyman stuff specifically. Um, for the first 3 months, thankfully, I worked for a contractor here and got some work from him.
Mhm.
But at the same time, while I was doing that, I was still trying to look for my own work as a handyman. And my handyman stuff started to take off on its own after I got a couple clients and after the word got out that I offer it. And it seemed like after a few clients, it just the word of mouth grew to where now I have a month worth of work if I say yes to everything that's everyone's asking for right
Mhm.
now. And I
If
guess
they
what
say
has
yes
worked, yeah, if they say yes, if
after you bid it.
what has worked for me is just being honest, showing up, telling them when I'm going to be late or when I'm going to be
I
on
need to
time.
reschedule or
Yeah,
yeah.
reschedule.
If something's come up
Something's going to
live,
cost more or it's
yep.
going to cost less. Um, and just being very honest with people of where I'm at, what I'm doing, when I'm going to be there. That is literally,
Confident that you can get
yeah.
it done well.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do need to be confident about you being able to do the job well. You can't be all like mousy and intimidated.
Yeah, no, I'll be
Even if you
honest.
do feel a
If
little
they if they
timid.
if they ask, "Have you ever done this before?" I'll be like, "No, but I have done similar stuff, and I'm very confident I will be able to figure this out and do
Right.
it."
That has
And
happened a lot.
that has happened a
He's
lot.
challenged himself to do things that he's like, "Oh,
And I
what
won't
did I
lie,
just
in
bite
the middle
myself?
of it, I'm like,
What did I
"What
just bite
have
off
I
the tube?"
just done? I
Yeah.
have no idea what I'm doing." Not really, but it feels that way.
Yeah, it
And
feels like that when you haven't done the exact thing. And yet, if you've done something similar
yeah,
and you know how to find the answers to do this
quite
thing,
literally
you have the
YouTube.
tools. And yes, YouTube, thank you.
I will literally pause, go watch YouTube for 5 minutes to just be like, how do you do this little thing about whatever project I'm working on? Get the answer and move forward. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. So, anyway, being honest, again, showing up and telling people like the story for me comes from, this is so random, but it seems relevant to me is that
Sure.
people waiting for trains are can get very fresh or seems like it's a longer wait because they don't know when the train's going to arrive. So what
Mm,
did they do? They put up a sign that literally just has a countdown, 5 minutes until this train, 10 minutes till this train. So now people can look up and just see, even if it takes longer, the fact that they now know and there is certainty that the train is going to be there at a certain time, it relieves their mind like, "Oh, it's okay. I can just play on my phone for 5 minutes and the train will be here." So, I take that same concept when I show up at people's houses and literally just as soon
goodness.
as I get in the car, I will give them my exact ETA of whatever time it's going to be and send them that. And if they ask any questions or if they reroute me or ask to pick up something else, like, "All right, that's gonna be an extra 10 minutes. I'm gonna go pick up this and then I'll be there." The fact that they know that I'm going to be there or be 20 minutes late because my last thing,
Right.
they don't care as long as they know I'm on my way. And it's okay if I'm like literally, I have gotten thank yous even showing up late because I told them I'm still on my way. I'm just going to be
Hmm.
late.
Hmm.
Or even if you don't know the time, just say, I am not totally sure when I'm going to make it there because I'm still doing this thing.
But
It
I'm
might be an
to
hour, it
be
might be 2 hours, but I'm planning to
there.
be there, and I'll give you an ETA as soon as I'm on the road. And so, anyway, that's been it's a big deal, and so people are thankful.
Good time communication is a
Yes.
huge part.
Which I learned the hard way beginning in my marriage, where my wife would say, "Hey, when are you coming home?" And I was an electrician. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll be home in an hour." And 5 hours later, and I shouldn't have been giving out times
No,
when
because
I
you're
genuinely
naturally
don't know.
yeah,
Just say I don't
she
know because then she would be anticipating me in an hour and have dinner ready, and I'm still on the job, and now I'm
and it's a natural
disappointed.
disappointment
Yeah,
because you have an expectation.
but if I gave her not an expectation because I genuinely don't know,
Like it's probably it could be really late. I just don't know. I'll
yeah,
let you know when I know.
yeah,
That kind of conversation is huge.
yeah. So,
And he can make his own hours now,
yep,
mostly,
yeah,
unless
it
he
was
responds to an emergency.
It's
which is
not as
not very
not
often.
as often as what it used to be. Being a electrician and also being an escape promoter, these emergencies are super simple compared to that stuff. So that's nice.
Well, because we have a pretty clear time frame when people
Yeah.
are allowed to call us for their emergencies.
Yep. Very much. It's a little
We
different.
might have an emergency outside our times,
Yeah.
but they don't usually call us
No.
after 5
Yeah.
or before 9.
It's great.
Very nice. Or on the weekends. That is just that part is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Mostly have well, unless you've been taking Saturday jobs the last couple weeks, but
Yeah, the snow has kind of disrupted everything because
the
I'll take a snow day on a
snow.
Wednesday, but I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to work on Saturday instead. So,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to get ahead because we're still not ahead yet. So,
Yeah,
some
we would
Saturdays are required to
like
get
to have a
ahead.
little more cushion. That'd be
Yeah,
good.
job to job at the moment.
Yeah. We're only 8 months in. Supposed to give
Yeah,
your new business what? 3 years at least?
something like
5?
that.
3 to 5 years. There you go. And then we were given a new business idea by Kaylin and Christine last night.
I was not there for that. What is our new business idea?
No, no, I told you just at dinner
Oh,
of the just make this entire house into a board game library,
yeah, that'd be fun.
and you could just hang out here all day. And I mean, there would have to be a little bit of food catered, coffee shop.
Yeah,
I think coffee shop still, but we could set it up really simple. Yeah, it sounds kind of fun. Like there just needs to be a big house for people to come hang out at. And that is what this house has been.
it is.
We have my parents with us right now. Anyway, there are a
Okay.
lot of stories. Shout outs to just good business partnerships in the past.
Yeah,
Heather Tatzer, love you. Best business partner, big sister ever.
yeah,
Uh, lots of good friends who have helped with business. Worked with Amber, Amber Jeske now. And I'm going to forget people. Too many. Got a lot of business partnerships. You count our employees too.
yeah.
I don't even know if I can name everybody anymore.
No, I couldn't.
But we love you all. Thankful for all the people who were part of Boss Play.
Hmm.
So special.
Yeah,
And um yeah, Mark Higgins and family, Rob Pickenpaw and family. Yeah. Your dad, Meineke.
yeah, that's true. Wow, I forgot about that.
Target when you did the
Yeah, a couple weeks.
2 weeks before you moved to Oregon.
Yeah,
And then I did a tea room job. Oh, that's who I was going to shout out to. Jeannie Fisher. Amazing. Amazing coworkers.
so,
Yeah, so there's a lot. And I'm excited for people we get to work with in the years ahead. Business is just a cool way to meet a lot of people too. If you like meeting people,
yeah.
which I do. I might be like
Sometimes.
97% extroverted. No, I do love meeting people. So say hi. We
Yeah.
like to meet you. Well, I like to meet you. But he'll be nice to you.
Yeah. I mean, cordial.
You'll get to guess what he's thinking when he's quiet right next
I
to you.
like it. I like keeping people at suspense. What am I thinking?
What is he really thinking? My mom just bought him like the silliest mug. Oh, I should have brought that down here.
Yeah.
That would have been funny. What does it
Well,
say?
it's
It's like this.
from Cracker Barrel,
It's like a
and it's a
rooster.
chicken. It says, "You don't know what I'm thinking, but I've already. You don't know what I'm thinking, but I've already pecked you 3 times, or something like
Yeah,
that."
but I've already picked you in the eye 3 times.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people assume Jeremy's angry or something when
Oh, I
he's
get that one.
quiet. I feel like people who assume that are a little bit uneasy about themselves. I could be wrong, but
Uneasy. Hmm. You think I'm uneasy about myself?
no, the people who assume that you're
Oh,
angry or
I see.
upset, like they're already kind of questioning themselves.
See,
to
I
be
like
like,
it that way. Yeah. Okay.
I don't
Same.
know. Whereas I always thought that you were just like really chill. Not that I don't question myself plenty, but
I like it that way because then when I do talk, they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's talking. Must be of significance." Like, no, not really. Just like whatever.
I am impressed that you've been doing this podcast with.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't always like to talk, but you do like to tell stories.
Yeah. I do like tell stories. That's true.
You should tell one more story.
One more business story.
You
Yeah.
could tell a silly one with like Buddy and back in the day.
I guess that counts as a business partnership.
I mean, it's not a business partnership. That's more of a business
Well, me
story.
and Buddy, we got into trouble, or maybe never got caught, but we did a lot of dumb things. So, to start this off, we're both 16, 17,
Oh,
working at Rob Pig and Paw's place. He does concrete. And so we were the shop boys, meaning he had about 10 or 15 concrete trucks, like the trucks that they go with all the forms and all the wood and stakes and all that stuff in there. And we were supposed to fuel them up and clean them every day. Not all of them, anyway. And then also the concrete forms, they are filled with concrete, the wood. And when they warp, you can't use them. You can't take them to the dump. They don't allow it, and so you have to burn them, or that's the only way to dispose of them. And so we did some silly stuff out there. I don't know. This is just a funny story. I don't know if this is business partnership, but
it's a funny story.
we every couple of weeks we would have to start this giant bonfire, dig a pit that's 4 foot deep and like 8 foot wide, and throw all the concrete forms in there that were bad and burn them, and it would be burning for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. And man, we had this golf cart and gasoline, and we'd be driving around with a gasoline can coming out the back, and he would drive off, and then one of us would light it and just start going in circles of fire rings, and it was hilarious. Anyway, there you go.
Does Rob know this?
Oh, I'm sure he knows this by now.
I
If
mean, there
not,
were video cameras, right? Not
maybe
that.
not. No, we had flip phones then, if anything. But me and Buddy, we got into some trouble there. But also, we learned a lot being shop boys from the crews that came in and taught us how to pour concrete because we got to go out every once in a while, and just taking care of those vehicles and all the mentorship that Rob gave us while we were there for that time. It
All
was
that
good.
care,
Yeah.
that attention and
And
love.
Cindy, shout out to Cindy because she kind of
Aw,
grandmothered us while we were there and giving us treats. And anyway, that was
so
good.
sweet. So sweet. It is really cool when business can be a family thing.
And Shane was there too for some time.
Yeah,
He was also a shop boy for some time. Pulling weeds. Me and him first day we pulled weeds for hours with no direction, and we have no idea what we were doing. And he was like, "Why are you pulling weeds? You need to be going over here." I'm like, I don't know. What are we supposed to do?
at least
It's the first day of working. We were trying to look busy.
Oh man, my first job was a big five because of Amber. I probably would never have worked there, but she knew someone, got hired. I needed a job. I was 18, was ready to go.
Yeah.
I was gullible because someone gave me fake hundreds to pay for something. And it was a busy Christmas season. I called for the manager multiple times and they're like, no, just run it without us. It's fine. And then it came up fraudulent later. But it was just a hard thing because it was recorded that they had said, no, it's fine, just run it anyway. But made me look bad.
Yeah.
That was probably the most like,
I remember that.
and I felt weird about it. But it was like, I checked it and I was like, I don't know. And the person next to me, like, yeah, it was such a, yeah, that
Interesting.
was probably the weirdest, like, business I had happen when you wake up. Business. Anyway, they're like, yeah, well, we get stuff stolen at least once every year. So it's their big one. Wow, that sucks. Why did it have to be me? I don't know about that. Anyway, That's where you learn grace and mercy in business too.
Yeah,
I'm glad we were mentored by a lot of sweet people. We got a shout out to Uncle Mark and like the good life lessons he taught us too. Just like the main one we go back to all the time is like, you don't owe us anything.
that's what. Yeah,
That's one. That's
there's
a lot.
the rant that I love that he gave me that I give to all my employees, gave to all my employees, and other people that I work together with is you don't owe me anything. If there is a transaction to be had of, I hire someone and say, I want you to go wash my car. As soon as they're done washing the car and I have paid them, that transaction is done. You don't owe me any favors. You don't owe me to be here next week to go do it.
Right.
Um, and
I think that just acknowledges that we are people who need different things sometimes. And it's just
yeah,
like, if we can benefit each other for this time, for this amount, like let's do it. Let's awesome. Let's keep going if it works. If it doesn't, okay, well then I wish you the best.
yeah,
Keep going.
yeah. I think, I guess more specifically for one of my employees, Sergio, one of our
Mm,
first ones, he stayed on to finish our third escape room um, that me and him were working on for over a year. And he chose to stay on longer, even though he wanted to move on and go to a welding job. And it's like, you don't owe me this. You're
yeah.
an employee. I'm paying you every day you show up. And that's it. Like, thank you for staying. I'm not saying you shouldn't or I don't want you to, but
We're not
you
trying to
don't,
hinder your
yeah,
growth.
I don't want
Yeah.
this to stop you either
He wanted to
because
be a
life moves
welder
on and I'll figure out a way to finish it. And you don't owe me your life to do it.
to help us with something else,
Yeah.
which is
So,
so great. You've got a good
so.
relationship with
So as
people
much
in
as it is
business.
personal,
Yeah.
it's also
Yeah, that's what I
not
wanted to
a
kind of balance.
forever contract. It's not a you owe me everything. You're not my slave. It's not that.
Mm,
It's here's the agreement, and once we both fulfill both ends of that agreement, that's it. Until we make another one, until we talk about the next thing, there's no unspoken expectation that you owe me something.
there is the spoken like give your 2 weeks. That'd be really great. If an emergency comes up though, I mean, in our handbook, I always was like, your personhood comes first. Like if you have an emergency, we want to come alongside you.
Yeah,
Also, we're human. We have needs out of business, so please don't
yeah,
please don't slack off on the responsibilities that you're standing in for. Like if you really can't do them, I want to know. I don't want you to just be like, "Oh, I'm going to pretend like I can when I can't." Like just
well,
the whole
that's
thing about being honest.
that's
Be
the other
honest.
one from Mark would be know when you don't know.
Yeah.
So if you get yourself in a situation where you know that you don't
Don't
know
know
what
what
to
to
do,
do, and I don't know how to figure it out.
yeah, and you don't,
Then you
that's the
need
most
to
important
ask for
thing.
help.
Yeah, don't be afraid to
You
ask for
don't
help.
just, yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's huge. And you don't want to get in business relationships where you're like, can't ask for help, but I need to find out how. Now
Right.
I'm going to fake it.
And
No,
if your
you ask for
boss
help.
reprimands you for asking for help when when
Mm,
you say, I don't know what to do next,
that's not a good
that's probably not
situation.
healthy.
Yeah, you probably want to get out of that
Yeah,
situation.
okay, you can do it too many times if
If
you're
you're really
required to
bad
know
at figuring
something.
things
Anyway,
out.
you guys know the parameters, but if
Uh,
anyway, yeah, know
but
when you don't know.
yeah,
It's
so
good.
many good lessons. Oh, we didn't shout out to the teachers. You
Right?
guys had fun together too,
Yeah,
Jeremiah and
me
you.
and Jeremiah, we worked together a lot when I was back at Point Monitor being an electrician. We both had the IT department, me and him, and at any given time, we would both be juggling between 10 and 15 different jobs, open jobs at the same time, and that was pretty wild. But we had fun and learned a lot from each other, and yeah, just tag team on different jobs. It's good.
It
Mm.
was good. Yeah. It's always neat when you have business relationships where you get along with the spouse as well.
Yeah,
Just love their whole family. Still do, but just don't see them very often. Yeah. It's neat that they were at the wedding though for my cousin.
yeah,
That's where again, just business personal. It does weave in and out. You just have to find good boundaries.
yeah.
Anyway, we could go on and on, but I'm gonna close this out with the verse. Unless you
Cool.
have another story.
No.
I want to do this verse because oh, I guess there was one more thing. You started talking about biblical stories of business partnerships. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well,
But
I mean, I was just looking for a verse, but
I
it just made
just
me
it's just
think
kind of
of
cool
the
thinking about
the
that.
disciples. Didn't two of the disciples were fishermen,
Oh, I
and they
think
took
some
on their
more.
father's trade, if you will,
Hmm.
and you know, fishermen, carpenters, other trades of the day, and oh, that was just what they did. They had real lives, real jobs. They were real entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I think that is the thing is like there were a lot of entrepreneurs in the Bible. Their house and their business was one thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, for our boss plate business, this was something that I had prayed over and over again. And I think it's been helpful since we had to close the doors in August. Really. And as we started this new handyman business, Matthew 6:33, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. And it just reminds me that if we're gonna step out in faith to try and build something new, we never are doing it just for ourselves. Like we're doing it in faith that God wants to multiply something good if we'll step out. So that's what we're trying to do. And we just pray that his righteousness will cover and follow us and that his kingdom will come.
Yeah. There you go.
So there you go. That was good.
Oh, got all that. Yeah.
Forgot about
I
that.
don't know.
What are we talking about next week? I don't know. Wow, we are doing good. We're gonna make it to an hour if we talk anymore. I hope this is yours. Oh dear. I don't
Can't open it.
I don't think this should
Made a tree. An AI
Oh, it's
generated
finally
topic.
happened. Next week, AI. Well, you can
So,
find it now.
yeah, let's find it out.
An AI generated topic for
All right, let's
podcasts.
see if I can
How are we
find.
gonna do this? Hmm.
Oh, where are
I
we
don't
going to do
know.
this?
I guess we'll find something. The most popular podcast topic. That sounds boring. How about the
No,
least popular? How about the moderate?
I'm trying to find.
We need to ask you guys to help us. Although, you know what? This next week, we wanted to have Emily Washima.
True.
Come on.
So should we do that instead, or I'm gonna get a topic
No,
just
I
in
think we
case.
can get a topic still, but I think it's worth. Yeah, because we're gonna do a trial run and try to have our friend jump in with us next week. Hopefully, if we can actually record it this weekend, that'd be ideal. And then we'll get it to you next
All right, I
Wednesday.
said podcast topic for 15-year married couple. 15, right? Yeah, 15. Yeah,
Yeah,
just about there.
definitely
The
15
number
for me.
one, journey together. Reflect on your relationship journey. Discuss how you met, key moments in your relationship, challenges you faced, and you've grown together over the years. There we
Oh,
go. How about
that's
that?
so cute.
So we're gonna focus on our journey together.
Our journey together next week.
There you go.
I
Given
love
from
it.
AI.
Well, that's fun. I think that's gonna go real natural with Emily Bushima because she's never met you, but she used to be my Bible study leader like 8 years ago when we were in California. So she's in Idaho now and she's a health coach. We'll just talk about healthy relationship journeys together.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll
Have
see you
a
next
good
time.
week.